All right, you are now tuned into the Rotated Views podcast. I am your host, Jimmylee Velez. I am here with Gabe, Manny, Heck, Goose, and Ray. We are stacked.
Wow.
Back in my day, in this episode, we have special guest Ray Tynes. We cover topics that range from technology, the new generation, future careers, reminisce about the past, and much more. We wrap the episode up with quotes from Elbert Hubbard and Bill Gates. Guys, if you're new, thank you for joining us. Don't forget to download and subscribe. We drop a new episode every Tuesday morning for your listening pleasure. Kicking things off, we're going to switch things up. First of all, we are stacked. Ray, thank you for joining us. We got the whole crew.
Whole crew, baby.
We got the whole crew. It's about to be Christmas. By the time you hear this, it's about to be New Year's.
The night before, right?
Yeah.
New Year's Eve.
You got to love it.
You gotta leave it with the right message.
Absolutely. And so we're talking about, good send-off back in my day. You know what I mean? So we're going to switch things up. We're going to, I got from the top10s.com a few back in my day jokes. They're calling them jokes. I just figured I'd share. First one. Back in my day, we stalked with binoculars, not Facebook. Back in my day, we had to get up in order to change the channel on the television. Remember the floor models? Literally the floor model TVs.
Big box.
All right, back in my day, we didn't have cell phone. We had 2 soup cans and a string. I still have that. Back in my day, tweeting was for the birds. Still is. And back in my day, $1 could get me a gallon of milk, 2 loaves of bread, and a carton of milk. But then they put cameras in the stores. It's hilarious.
Where did you get that joke from?
Right. So, all right. So, obviously, we're talking about technology here, right? And me and Ray were going back and forth, some dialogue, a couple topics. And I thought this was actually pretty good because of the, the times, that we live in currently. Do you guys remember the newspaper that had the Dear Abby section?
Oh my God, the Courier.
Like advice?
Yeah,
like
advice and stuff like that. But anyway, just thinking about that and how people communicated, back in like the day. I mean, that's what they did, and they got advice, and it was shared with the world on printed, format or medium. And here we are on Facebook, where I most ironic comment I've ever heard. Maybe not ever, but one of the most ironic comments I've ever heard was that, it was on the Facebook social media platform, right? And someone says millennials are lazy, which I thought was ironic because they said it on a format that was created by a millennial, right?
Sure.
And so it's just like the irony in all of it is it's very interesting. Not to say that the previous, I guess heads of technology or the godfathers of technology didn't help get us there, but that is a very funny thing to say. The other irony with the whole millennial comment is who raised the millennial generation, right? 100%. And it was the same person who was complaining he had millennial children. It was just the whole thing was just a funny thing to say.
He was just backwards.
Yeah, he was just not understanding that deal there. Anyway, so technology has changed a lot in our lifetime, right? What do you think, in your opinion, we're just jumping right in, is the biggest thing that changed the way we live, technology-wise?
Cell phones.
Cell phones.
Completely.
True.
Cell phones.
Cellular,
cell phones.
wireless devices in general.
Yeah.
And using technology on the go has completely changed the way the world we live in.
Absolutely. I think internet more specifically.
Yeah.
Because without the internet, none of that other stuff really would
be annotated. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
Just a way I believe that wholeheartedly. And then the way cell phones took it to a mobile version of what we were doing. Do you guys remember logging in AOL, putting in that CD to download it or whatever you had to do there?
Yeah.
Yes.
The process of it, and I know there's a couple tech guys here.
Logging on through the phone line, and then
you had to clog up the phone line.
Yeah, clog up the phone line, or somebody on the other end would pick up the phone to make a phone call and throw you off the internet, so then you couldn't chat.
You had to ask for permission first. You're like, all right, I'm going to get on the internet
to
check
request
my mail.
access.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Maybe you have to wait for that little stick guy to start doing it.
Running the thing. Yeah, where you going? You're still there.
I don't want to jump in to take anybody's moment, but I feel like I have a testimony that I'm living right now.
Yeah.
Growing up in wireless, like I started working for a wireless carrier pretty much right out of college. I'm gonna take you guys back when the first camera phone came out, and people were like, "What? We take pictures with your phone?"
Yeah.
Because now, I mean, back then it was like you had a camera that was very,
Yeah.
innovative,
Right, yeah.
and you had a cell phone.
Right.
When they put the two together, it was like, why? What's the purpose of it?
Yeah.
And then when people grasp the purpose of it, of sending it to friends and family,
Yep.
that's when this whole snowball effect of, well,
Yeah.
what else can do it? So to your point, Jimmy, like, yeah, internet has opened those doors.
Yeah.
I would say, but I feel like also just what we're doing with it now, and then what our, the generations after us will do with it is just unbelievable. It's alien technology, like.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Well, no, I mean, even going back to that, I remember even going back to as far as me dating my now wife, where I remember her specifically asking for a camera for Christmas and a new cell phone, and at that time we both had flips. I think I might have had like the vanilla. I think I had the vanilla or slit up.
The candy bar one.
I
right?
was
It was a Nokia. It was a Nokia, wasn't it?
Yeah, but they
It
called.
was
I think
it was a LG chocolate,
It was a LG
and it was
chocolate.
a white phone with red
That they
buttons all over,
called
which
it
was
vanilla.
dope looking.
Yeah.
And you slid it up, and it
It
had
actually is still
it was
Verizon made
actually a
that,
decent
yeah.
looking phone.
Yeah, it
still, I
was.
mean,
Yeah.
actually, if you think
They had
about
like
it,
different colors and
they
stuff
had
like
different
that.
colors. Yeah, they had it in black, brown, burgundy, white, blue.
But colors were like the biggest thing back
Yeah,
then.
Yep.
you
Yeah.
get your phone in color. Yep.
and then you get your antenna. You could replace it like your car
the
antenna.
Nextel
and put
John,
like a
you
little
got
thing
the
that lit up.
Flashing joints.
You got a signal. and
God
the lights
forbid.
are
As soon as the
flashing.
flea market got hold of that,
Yeah.
man, they sold every kind of light and siren that went on and bell and whistle that went
is
on that.
true. The
Remember
antennas
the
or even
cases?
the cases, your battery, you would have to put the little strip that hooked up to the battery in the back of the thing, close it, and it was clear, and it all lit up anytime you got a signal on it.
Yeah,
Right,
and
man.
the Heck and Goose were really big on like the belt clips.
Oh,
So
yeah.
getting that big
Oh,
phone
yeah.
and hooking it
Yeah.
on your belt.
Well,
Part of your attire, yo.
these guys, Hector and Miguel, was like the original Nextel, like,
Yeah,
guys,
that's
yo.
Hey,
When we heard the church come out, everybody was like, "What? Wait a minute, hold
What's going on
up."
here? You go walkie-talkie. What is
You
it?
weren't even included in the crew if you didn't have a chirp.
Right, that's right.
Yeah.
That's
If
right.
you weren't hitting me with that 221 star, nah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, yo. Dang. That was the prefix for it.
right?
I remember sitting out in I was in a in class at Temple, and all I hear is my phone. I must have like been up against the seat and pressing the button or whatever, and all I hear is it was Goose. In the middle class, I fumbled my phone, dude. And back then, phones were legit prohibited. Like,
Oh, yeah.
do never bring this technology to ruin my class.
Yep.
And they just did not like them at all. I'm sure they do not like them at all, but I'm sure there's different,
Sure.
approaches totally different today. But yeah, I think we all had I had that my senior year going into like freshman year at Temple. So I still had that thing. And then you close it. You wouldn't even like flip it down. You just like go like this and it would slam shut.
Yep, it closed right away. Yeah.
The little slide
Oh my
shot.
gosh, that thing was classic. But the way we communicate too. So then even it evolved. So it went from these kinds of phones, and I'm sure we're skipping some steps in here. But the way we were texting people, where it was like you're hitting one button 3 times to get a single letter,
Yep.
to actually keyboard formatted cell
Right.
phones, and then you're just texting.
Well, texting also came out with the two-way pagers.
Yeah.
You had a pager, and you had like this little device that was looked like a pager, and you flip it
Motorola
up, and the
two-way
keyboard,
pager.
and the keyboard was on there. You could text
Oh,
right
it
back. So it
was.
looked like a little mini computer you was walking around with. So you had a cell phone and a two-way pager, and going back and forth. You thought you was the coolest dude around because you had
Well,
both.
you
of them.
did, Hector, because you were the trendsetter, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, for
That
real.
was but that's how it started out though. That's how like, you did text messaging,
Yeah,
and then like you said,
That's
it
what
was
came with the short mail. That's what it.
short mail. Yeah,
That's
you're
what
right.
the SMS thing.
I put it to you like this. After I hung out and learned like what was like trending, I know I was going home like, yeah, I'm going to go get a second cell phone because you had to stay up to date with what
Sure.
people were using.
Yeah.
Yep.
Same thing we're dealing with now, like all the social media platforms. Not to jump ahead, but it's just like, you don't know who's posting what and on what site, and then
Sure.
you know what I mean.
Yeah,
Like trying to
exactly,
keep
yep.
up with it is just an anomaly, you know.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Oh yeah, I mean, I remember when Twitter came out, and I'm like, man, this is going nowhere.
Right.
You know what I mean? You're just biting off Facebook and all this other jazz.
You're
I'm
taking everything out of Facebook and just having like whatever like
Just
the wall
texting,
post.
right?
Whatever.
Yeah.
yeah, it's just a wall post, and it was driving me crazy because it limited you. You know, how many?
And
It still does.
It was essentially
So,
like a text on a website.
On a website,
essentially,
yeah,
because it was limited to the
on
amount
your
of text.
personal page. It was a bunch of text messages. Is all it was.
Right.
To rewind a little bit though, and then the cell phones only had so much storage. So like after like 15, 20 pictures, you had to start deleting them. And I'm literally saying 15 or 20 pictures. There was no real video footage you can capture, maybe 30 seconds or something.
Yeah.
But now you can go on for literally hours with these. How much memory the phones have now?
And
Even text you were limited with that too. Like you don't have so many. Like you don't have
Yeah, you only had
100 messages.
Yeah, 250 characters to use
Right.
that message.
Yeah.
Right.
Right? And so if you had a story to tell, you was using it's a message 1 of 2, message 2 of 2.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you had
you
some-
made the phone call, right?
Oh, yeah.
That's like
Yeah.
unheard of now.
Yeah.
You called me?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I texted
Right.
you. Hey, right?
Yeah, because I remember dating my wife, and we'd be on the phone for like 2-3 hours, like talking,
yeah.
and that was like that's what you did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just, you know, you can only say so much, and I guess you're like, you know, feeling the vibe too off of each other. But I don't know how people date now. But I don't know if you talk on the phone for 3 hours. Actually, I'd be amazed. Like that's interesting.
Yeah,
I want to know
interesting.
what in Lord's name. I don't even know what I was talking about, to be honest. with you. So like, what were we talking about? Like we went through a day. That's like a quarter of your day.
Just listening
on
to
the
each other
phone.
breathe at some
Yeah.
point.
Yeah. And then back then there was not like unlimited plans, so I had to stop talking to her for a whole last week of the month.
Yeah.
You waited
She
for
thought I was ignoring her. I was like, no, I used up my minutes.
you waited for nights and weekends. Like,
Yeah,
yo,
that's the weekend. After 9
8:59, I'm
o'clock.
gonna hang up and I'm gonna call you back.
Yeah. Literally, that's what we did. We
Right?
called each other at like 9:15, and boom, that went on to like 2, 3 in the morning, just talking about nothing.
I didn't trust that either. I was that one dude. If it was like 9:30 and I knew 10 o'clock was free time, I'll talk for 10 minutes. I'm like, yeah, I'll call you right back.
Yep.
Because I never trusted it that it was going to transfer
So
over,
who's that
transition
trusted
into
you?
free.
He also always broke up with his girlfriends right before Christmas. You know what I mean?
Another great sponsor promotion. You guys need help with relationship goals? See, Hector. Yes.
No, but thinking about it, like we're in the holiday season, and I just remember my dad always pulling out the freaking big old camera,
Camcorder.
Yeah.
right?
Holy
The camcorder
smokes,
just
yeah.
to like record stuff. And here it goes, another thing that's on your cell phone.
Yeah.
And now that they hold more memory, that's literally all there. And then you post it, and literally the world sees it in an instant. Where before,
You had to
we
wait.
waited till my uncles and aunts got to the house. Oh, you got to see this, you got to see this. Put it in the little, we had that little tape that went inside the bigger VHS tape. Put that bad boy in, hit play. It was already played like 15 minutes in,
Sure.
so you got to sit there and watch the rewind. And we're sitting there watching rewind. You know what I mean? But now you just hit one button, it's all the way back to the beginning, hit play, and keep it moving.
Or you
Or
can
now
even-
you can even skip and go skim right through.
Oh yeah, skim to the good part.
Spot, yeah.
Is this it? Is it? No, I think we passed it. And it was like, we did all that, and everybody was gathered around the floor model TV.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And I was thinking about the comment you made. Like, how many times have we, you know, our modern day, we have the opportunity to record stuff now, right? But then I look back and like all those moments I missed with my family. Not saying that I should have grabbed my camera and had
Yeah.
it. It's like, you know, you have its gift and its curse, but it's also like I wish we had a way to go back to capture
Kind of,
those moments to then transpose those onto something.
Sure.
Those people that do it, you know, and hold on to those, God bless you, because I don't know how to keep up with that stuff unless
Yeah.
you're like now
Yeah.
putting it on some form of digital, you know, memory.
Right, yeah.
Sure.
Back it up
So,
on your
it's
computer or
crazy.
whatever.
Yeah.
That's wild.
Right.
That's super wild.
But that's the new version of like having folders and folders on your computer. The same version of not having stacks and stacks of actual physical pictures in your garage somewhere.
Or a book,
Right.
or a book. Let me show you my book. Sit
Yeah.
down, like your mom. You know, you meet a girl for the first time. Sit down. Let me show you some pictures of her. Like,
Pull
you
out
know
a
what I'm
whole
saying? Yeah.
20 albums of
But it's
Right.
true though, 'cause
Man.
same thing with this whole like millennial talk. They were like, "Oh, well, how many times do you go back to your computer and look at those pictures?" I'm like, when they were, or no, the even better question is, "Oh, how many of those pictures do you even print?" Right? And then they give you this thing. I'm like, well, first of all, in the 80s and 90s when they were printed, these joints were in boxes stacked
Doing the
somewhere
same
in our
thing,
basement. They're doing the
stashed
same
away.
thing.
Dusty,
No one,
yeah.
yeah, exactly. They're dusting them off, mildewy. They had like that funky smell
That
to 'em.
stench,
You
that
pull them
basement
out,
stench. Yeah.
Pictures all stuck together,
st-
ruined
the
one another.
storage unit smell.
Digital copy.
Yeah.
You know, not that was bad, but that's just what it
Right.
was. Don't try to
Yeah.
act like because you had them
No.
printed out, you went through them every weekend.
It's the only
You
way we
didn't.
could have. Like, the only way you were to hold on to those memories. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
Yeah. our ancestors, I mean, they prayed that we were going to retain a picture of them and say,
Sure.
yeah,
Some
this
way,
is what your
somehow,
great
yeah, yeah.
grandfather looked like. So
Right.
we are going to become that eventually one day. Like now we're dealing with, we're talking about current day, and like that's the normalcy. Watch,
Yeah.
10, 20 years
It'll
from
be
now.
some like holographic
They'll be
version.
talking about,
same
yo,
thing.
do you guys remember when they were doing podcasts?
Oh yeah.
Like, really?
They didn't just think
It's
it
so
appeared
corny.
online.
Yeah. Like I'm saying, like in terms of evolution, man, it's just
Absolutely.
amazing.
Yeah,
So
it is crazy.
I think everybody in the future retain this and remember what we say. So this way you guys can be smarter and more effective in the future.
Because I think even now they say like the phones we have now have more technology than what they initially went to the moon with. Even, like the whole
Yeah.
entire ship. So like
Yeah.
Wow.
just the amount of
Wow.
technology there.
yeah, I mean, they.
So
My
try to throw
goodness.
this to the moon.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, or just in general, like having what we can use to, communicate, FaceTime. You know, even that. Just we used to be able to only send somebody a video
Yeah.
to
Yeah.
do it, and then record something
Or a
and send
handwritten
it back.
letter.
Yeah,
On
like,
a horse.
I know. Yeah, I know. We jumped ahead of a lot of stuff, but you're right. Like the handwritten letter, the horse, flying pigeons. I mean, right.
Letters.
Airmail. Airmail.
So
I remember going
Yeah.
to, when I was a kid, going to the Franklin Institute and seeing FaceTime for the first time, and it was like my one buddy was on the other, like you're like 20 feet away from each other, and I'm like, we're on the phone, I'm like, yo, and it's like the picture was like almost like a slow motion movement though, like if you moved, it was really slow motion, and you're talking, I'm like, yo, that's crazy, and it was black and white. I'm like, dude, that's crazy. That's the future is gonna be crazy.
Yeah.
Yo, meanwhile, my every phone call I get from my daughter is FaceTime. We communicate through FaceTime every single day,
Right.
2-3 times a day. It's so crazy, but like I seen that like evolve. Like I watched the very first FaceTime like
Happen in
device,
person.
and it was like a regular house phone. It was
Right.
like it was
You're
crazy.
using like old school like technology, like actual wireline communication
Yeah.
to try to do this.
and it was a landline, and the motions were slow.
It was super lag.
Yeah, it was like
Yeah.
and now everything's wireless and it's faster than ever.
Yeah.
Yeah. We almost like tricked ourselves into the microwave generation.
Yeah.
Because we got so smart as far
Yeah.
as the technology.
Oh,
the
yeah.
way- you know what I'm saying? It's saying like how fast is fast. No, we're always trying to challenge that.
100%.
Absolutely.
You know?
And like 10 years ago, like the like from 10 years to now, I mean, it's
Massive difference.
huge,
Astronomical, yeah.
huge,
So
huge,
even
huge.
think about like pricing for things, right? Like imagine how much a TV cost 10 years ago versus
Yeah.
how much
Oh,
what
yeah.
you can
Yeah.
get basically
All right,
kind
so,
of.
2006, I bought a 32-inch
Heck's the
TV.
gadget guy, so he knows all the prices.
Yo, I bought a 32-inch TV
Okay.
for $689 at Circuit City in 2006.
First of all, Circuit City doesn't even exist
Okay,
anymore.
so this is 2006. Excuse me. And I thought I was a dude. 32-inch flat screen, John, like it was dope. And I lived at home with my mom and dad. I get home and I show my dad. And he's like, "Oh man, that's awesome. That's awesome. How much you get it for?" I told him $680.
Plasma?
No, it wasn't plasma. It was like one of the first like LCD TVs.
Yeah, it was like the original 80p or whatever it was.
Yeah, yeah,
720 or something like
720.
that.
It was like,
You know what I'm
60
saying?
hertz.
Yeah.
It's funny because I still have that TV out back now. That's the TV. And it was a 32-inch. I paid that much for it. I got just recently, I got a 55-inch. Last year, I got a 55-inch for $320.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
Do the
bad.
math on that. The size and the price. Bigger and cheaper.
And
it's a higher quality, like the resolution, everything, the technology behind it is
Like a
definitely
4K
lot
TV
better.
and all
Yeah,
that
I was gonna say
absolutely.
they're putting smart technology
It's
in
smart
it.
TV. Yeah, it has
Bluetooth.
all the Netflix and all that stuff on there.
Yeah.
It's crazy. But again, it goes to show that like it's an older TV and it still works to this day. So they like the stuff that's back in the day definitely still works.
So it preserves itself.
Yeah, I mean now these TVs don't last much long for anything at all.
Dude, I remember when Mom and Pop got like the first, and they bought the car phone. It wasn't even a cell phone. It was like it was a
gosh.
big pouch.
Yeah.
And it was
My
like a
goodness.
house phone, but the battery pack was so huge on this thing, and it was like made to travel for cars. Because Mom worked in Princeton,
Yeah.
and her commute was like 45 minutes to an hour. But there was like a snowstorm, and she didn't come home for like a couple hours, and she was stranded, had no phone. So Pop went and got her this big old thing. Yo, we thought we made it. My parents, we have a
Oh, the
phone in our
bag
car.
phone.
The
The
bag
bag phone, yeah, the bag phone.
seat, yeah.
The 3-watt phone.
Yeah.
I'm
Yes.
because I'm around that stuff since.
Yeah.
Yeah,
damn,
so
bro.
they used to slide underneath the seat because it was so big and freaking,
Yeah.
dude. And it had like you pick up the handle and like the numbers in the back of the
Had a
handle,
cord
like
to it,
yeah,
an
the big
actual
cord,
cord to
yeah,
it,
yeah. Yo, and I'm like, dude, we're like, We're moving up, yo.
Moving
We
up.
have a phone in the car, yo. Like,
car
Yeah.
phone.
Car
yeah.
phone, yep.
so
I mean,
crazy.
even thinking about that, thinking about the cars, again, same thing. Maybe 15, 20 years ago, maybe not even 20 years ago, 15 years ago. If you wanted to go somewhere that you didn't know the exact way to get there, dude, we were using literally
map.
MapQuest. And
MapQuest.
Yo,
Yeah.
papers and
Papers
and
and
freaking like,
printouts.
Quadrant 3,
Yeah.
page 26.
Yeah.
Scroll if it was not in color.
Yeah.
Follow
Yeah,
that.
exactly.
Yeah,
and now
it's
you just have
crazy.
the navigation systems
Dude.
that when TomTom and all these other
Yep.
guys came
Yeah.
out, where it was like the standalone version
yep.
with the suction cup on the window, and you pop it on there
Oh,
on
man.
your dash, and you had to charge that thing, and you always had to update them. Otherwise, you're gonna it was gonna drive you into some river down the road or
Yeah.
whatever, some dirt road. So then it became something normal to be a part of a car. To your cell
Now it's on
phones
your
that have
phone.
applications for it, and you don't even need that.
Jimmy, think about it like this. When was the last? I mean, in that same example, remember when we used to be like, "Yo, I'm going to go to a friend's house and pick me up in 3 hours, or pick me up from the mall in 3 hours."
Yeah.
You really didn't have no like, "Oh, are you ready?" It was like, "All right, at 4:00 when I get there,
You better be
out
there.
front."
Yeah,
Right,
right.
right.
Yeah,
Oh,
right.
that's my parents. Though.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's exactly what it was.
It's just like, now, like if you're not answering on the first ring, it's like, where's everybody at?
Yeah.
What's going on?
Like,
So
I
it's-
think the world's ending.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah, the world.
You know,
Even
what's
today,
wrong?
even today, like when I dropped my daughter off at her friend's house. Before we pull up, she's calling them like, "Hey, I'm here." Before we would pull up to the house, be like,
Knock
boom,
on the
boom,
door.
boom, yo, what's going on? Like waiting for somebody to answer the door. We're going out. Let's go.
Does his parents know you're coming over?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
Mom. I'll be all right, Like, and it was like that.
So
Even just like
crazy.
when we set like plans for like things and saying to ourselves like, all right, if I'm gonna go to a friend's party or something like that, we didn't have like the I'm gonna go call you, text everybody to basically say, are you guys going to the party?
Yeah.
Right.
You went there and you figured out who showed up and when
Yeah,
they showed
yeah,
up,
Right,
yeah,
yeah,
right?
yeah,
and you dealt with
absolutely.
it.
And even like with parties now, like Facebook has like a way to
Yeah.
invite people through events and stuff
You
like
could
that.
filter.
Yeah, and then like I remember I'm like, yo, that's messed up. We didn't get a paper invite. Like you
Like,
used to
yeah,
get, you had to
what's
send that paper invite at least 30 days previous,
Yeah.
or that was like that was not the courteous thing to
You
do.
have to RSVP.
Yeah.
Yeah, because you had to
Oh,
RSVP.
man.
Where now we literally just got invited to a wedding via email, and I would never even cross my mind that was even a thing. And I'm like, I
Proper,
guess
well.
that makes sense if you think about it. I mean,
Save papers.
So what happens
as long
if
as you have the right email address.
do you RSVP via mail, or do you email them back though?
No, it's not even. It's they put your email in, so you got the invite, but it's a whole website. So you click on the link, and it takes you to a website that
To RSVP.
Oh,
to
so then
RSVP.
you check it off from
So you
there?
basically check in, saying yes, I'm going.
Wow,
yes,
that's
I'm going.
wild.
Yeah. So they have their
Never
own
seen that.
website for the weddings.
So you
now.
pretty
I
much
mean, it's
choose
like
your meal. Choose, you know.
So
what
you
I mean?
can't
you
say,
do
"Oh, we got
everything
lost in
from
the
that
mail."
website.
I mean,
Yeah, at all.
efficiency wise, yeah.
Efficiency side, that's right there.
I never
So-
got it. How come you didn't come? I never got it. It got lost in the mail.
So you got to send the invites with pre-stamped things
Yeah.
or whatever. I
Yeah,
mean,
you're
that's what
paying
me
for
and
all
my
that.
wife did.
You're all paying for that stuff.
And then to that example, technology in that case is like it's helping a situation, right? Because I mean, like you're taking something and making it more efficient. Think about it like in the aspect of like healthcare, right? Like, you got a doctor that can't write for you know what,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And in that same situation, if somebody's reading that to prescribe medication,
Sure.
anything like that, you
Right.
need exacts. That's where it could save lives. In any extent, it's like, invitations go missing in the mail, whatever.
Yeah.
I don't remember the last time I paid attention to something that came in the mail unless I was waiting for it, too.
Sure. Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
knowing that somebody was sending me something.
Yeah.
But now, I guess, like when you check the mail every day, I feel like I'm getting older. I'm like expecting something to show up in the mail because it kind of keeps me grounded in that same sense too. Like that
getting
old
the mail
guy.
today. I got something.
Yeah, walking out with my night robe on, with like, hey, how y'all doing? Seeing if somebody still cares about me out here.
It's so crazy because I even call like with bills. I call and just like pay if I wanted to make a payment really fast. I call and pay. Like, all right, well we can send you a confirmation. I'm gonna send you through like a text message. I'm like, all right, fine. Boom, that was it. I'm driving and doing this whole thing. Like, don't even have to worry about writing nothing down.
Doing a business
or
transaction.
and it's like
Yeah.
that's it. Boom.
You buy a house now through DocuSign. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like you're
Yeah.
literally
Yeah.
doing
That's
legal
so
documents
crazy.
now that you don't have any. Like this is almost irrelevant.
Yeah,
You know?
Right.
same thing. Like
Absolutely, yep.
even with cars, I know Rome did everything on the internet. He got approved. He got everything with getting a new truck. He just went there and just like he got approved and filled out all his
Yeah,
paperwork.
pre-approval process.
Yeah,
Yeah.
before he even like seen
Sat
the
there,
truck and
sure.
fell in love with the truck,
We
which
did-
is yeah,
we
it was-
literally just bought a car for my wife, and we did the same thing. We signed all this paperwork because it's pending. So the last thing is, when you do get there, you do physically sign something else.
Yeah,
So it's all the
right.
pre-approval process. But they'll tell you, like, yo, you're good, thumbs up, come through, set an appointment, don't waste no time. We were there.
Yeah.
I kid you not, the transaction happened in another 45 minutes. When typically back in the day, that was a whole day.
You
where
were
you
there.
had to
It
get
was
there
shit for
about
like
8
days.
o'clock. You opened up with the janitors and
if
closed
you're
with the janitors.
well
if you're
qualified, Jimmy.
Yeah.
If
well
you're
qualified.
qualified. You waited all that
Yeah.
time to get
Or
qualified.
the best is when they'll send you home with the car, and then no, just come back tomorrow because you're definitely gonna be pre-qualified. You know, you're gonna qualify.
Then you don't hear from them all day. Like, do you want me to keep this?
Yo, you better bring that back with a full tank of gas,
Start
too.
calling back. Hey, everything all right over there? Yeah, you're good. You're good. All right. I was
Even
making
now,
sure.
the other than is you don't even have to deal with anybody. What's the Carvana? It was like essentially a
Yeah.
vending machine.
Oh,
for
yeah.
the
cars.
vending machine one, yeah.
cars, yeah.
Literally, there's one off 95. But no, going off that, like taking the car, I remember thinking, all right, that happened to me. And I'm like, oh, all right. And they're like, yo, just take it. Because it was like a Saturday night. I'm like, oh, okay, yeah, bet. And I'm thinking, I'm like, yo, I'm driving this thing home. I'm like, yo, this isn't even really mine. And I remember telling my girl, I'm like, yo, I'm going to pick you up. We're going to take you out to dinner. My parents want to go out too. We're going to meet them there at the restaurant. She's like, oh, okay. I remember going, picking her up and meeting mom and pop on Street Road. And we pulled up and and my dad was like, wow, that's beautiful. Like, that's awesome. Blah, blah. I showed everybody at the same time. So I picked my girl up, showed my parents at the same time. That's all we're going to celebrate. So we went into the... Meanwhile, I'm thinking, like, I wasn't even hyped because I was so scared. Because I'm like, yo, what if I don't get approved, yo? Like, I'm rocking this car out on a Saturday night, bro. I'm out here. I had no business with an Audi anyway. But I had this whole whip thing, and I'm like, yo, I'm impressing everybody.
best
I'm the
life.
man right now. And this thing's not even mine. It wasn't even mine. I mean, thank God everything went through. But dang, dude, I'm like, I can't believe I did that.
Yeah.
But that was normal procedure.
Normal protocol. I mean, a lot of times they were probably on the other side of that same coin, thinking like, yeah, we need this to go through.
Exactly.
I know I have been in like my sales jobs because, like, you know, everybody wants it's a two-sided coin. It's any
Yeah,
transaction,
yeah.
you know.
Oh my gosh, dude, that's too funny.
It's too funny.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, speaking on that car and technology, it came with, I don't know, you tell us what kind of, we're trying to charge my wife's phone on it, and we didn't have like the hookups for it. I'm like, what is going on?
Yeah, so it has a USB-C, which is a smaller USB, which is now what they're changing everything to. So they're looking at it like, we can't even charge our phone on this thing. I'm like, all right, bet. Let me go to work and I'll
I had
find
to
an
get a 12
adapter.
volt, John.
I had to get
Put that in.
I got two adapters. I plugged in, but from USB-C to your regular USB to then plug in your iPhone charger to it.
And I feel like manufacturers get over way too easy. There should be some type of like public service announcement on the news, like that says, "Hey, ladies and gentlemen, guess what? All your Apple chargers are changing today." You know what I mean? If you plan on getting, they don't do that because it's a revenue stream.
Sure.
So they're making
Absolutely.
more with the charger.
Buy new
Oh,
stuff.
speaking of that though, too, that's
But
crazy.
where's all the old chargers go?
I'm
just curious. For
recycle
research purposes, I just want to know.
No, they
Yeah.
recycle. They do recycle them. There's like,
Oh,
you know
yeah?
how they have paper shredding day?
Okay. Oh yeah.
They pull up and they
can
have like
destroy
technology
electronics.
day, and literally
Yeah.
that's where you dump your stuff at. That's what they say. I don't
That's
know.
true.
They just make more money off
Seems
you.
kind of wasteful though when
It
you
does.
think about it.
But hold on. So check this out. So we get this car, right? And this whole thing, this whole screen has all these like applications, and I'm like staring at this thing. And then, I'm thinking about, this episode is like, how has, transportation, technology changed the way we transport ourselves from point A to point B. And I'm staring at this thing. I'm like, half this stuff has nothing to do with actually transporting me from point A to B. This is all just extra stuff.
Yeah.
It's all luxury of it.
Yeah.
Listen,
The experience.
off the app, right? They tell you, oh, download this app. I kid you not. Download this app, make your payments. You're going to make your payments through this app,
God.
right? And you can, oh my gosh, what the heck they call it? It's like the life of your car, like the diagnostics of your car are featured.
managed on the
Everything
app.
from your actual car is being loaded to this app, and you can see exactly when you need an oil change, exactly where you are with your gas, everything. And you click this button here, and it'll automatically start your car. So we got remote start on this app on the phone.
It's a computer.
I mean, dude,
really
this
is
is
wild.
like wild.
It really
I mean,
is.
somebody listening is probably like, yeah, so what? But for me,
Yeah.
I had to run and start my cars before.
Tesla actually has a car that drives itself, right?
Yeah.
I didn't want to blow your mind with that tonight.
No. I'm talking about a car that we didn't know. When you buy a Tesla, you're buying a technology-based car. You
That's
know
what I'm
that.
saying,
That's
yeah.
That's an electric car. You know that. I'm buying a gas powered car, just a regular thing, not knowing I'm getting that, right? So if you buy a Tesla and you don't know that's what you're getting,
Right.
you got to be a little bit more wittier than that. Like, you're going to buy a bunch of technology. It's going to throw up on you even if you didn't want it to.
Yeah.
I mean, these things, while you're charging your vehicle, they got games on their screen where you can play while you're waiting for
While
20
you're waiting
minutes.
for
You
it.
know what I'm
Yeah,
saying?
yeah.
Like, that's the crazy part. But just buying a little random SUV that's not technology based, or I don't think that's what I'm buying. It's not an electric car.
Yeah.
It's a regular gas powered car, and it has all this stuff.
Yeah.
Now, don't get me wrong. Remote start, that's something that's been out, but we didn't know that even came with it. We just thought we just had regular keypads, and that was it.
It's still valuable to this day. You know how many cars don't come with a remote start, but they come with everything else?
Yeah.
Well, they got
Absolutely.
Bluetooth, they got music sync, they got this, they got
Well,
that.
and especially where we live, northeast part of the
Northeast.
states, like I always
Yeah.
say, we got all the elements. Who wants to run out in the rain, start the joint when you can? And you got to sit there,
You gotta sit
or
there.
the snow, even worse. And it's my
Yeah.
wife's car. It's even better for me. I'm like, heck yeah, start that from in there,
Yeah.
warm it up.
Yeah, it really is now like a mixture of efficiency, and I think also just knowing like, even just knowing like where like companies, even for that matter, come from. I learned today. Did you guys know that Tesla was like the first inventors of like electricity in terms of like DC current?
Yep.
Yeah, Nikola
Edison,
Tesla.
Edison
Yeah,
took it away
well,
from him.
Sorry, guys.
Yeah.
You're a lot more smarter than me, and my pen's very education. But I mean, I didn't know that.
Yeah,
So I was
yeah,
like,
Nikola
whoa. I
Tesla.
was like, it's crazy. I thought it was something more like. I was this conversation with another friend of mine, Omar, and he was like, yeah, he's like, a lot of times we're not being reintroduced to the original creators of it.
Right.
Yeah.
And then nowadays, like, you're just seeing the after rebirths of,
Of
like
all
the
this,
next.
yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Even with like music. And that's
Well, I
a
was
whole
about to
different
say that,
day.
yep.
Yeah.
But you get what I'm saying with that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yep.
People are like, oh, you know what I mean? That's Beyonce. No, it ain't Beyonce. You know what I mean?
They
She
couldn't.
took it.
Ask your parents who that is.
Yeah,
You know what I
yeah.
mean?
So basically, they could not figure a way out how to monetize that.
Yeah.
And so they just didn't. They didn't let it go public, or they just bought out, a company so it wouldn't go public, and only certain people would know. And you have, whatever Edison, quote unquote, invented, and that's what we're using because they figured out a way how to monetize that and how to wire everything. Where Tesla already had everything figured out, where you didn't need to do all that, which is absolutely wild when you think about early 100 years ago. He already had this figured out.
Yeah, or even just Jimmy, like it blowing my mind. Like I'm thinking about like the Steve Jobs of the world. You know what I mean? Like where was he at? A lot of people will give you an explanation as to where he was at in his mind state,
Right.
but like in terms of just thinking like how do I develop a product that works for people that make them effectively do things?
Yeah.
Sure.
You know,
And to go on that,
No.
everything's about efficiency. So a lot of people are like, oh, it's just another thing to make you more lazier. But is it? It's not always the case. Some things I would say yes,
Yes.
right? But other things for like efficiency, talking about like your experience as a buyer. Goose, you were just talking about your experience about buying an Apple Watch. And he was saying, he's like, he walked in, they asked him for his name, and then they sent him to go stand somewhere. And he's staring around, he's like, oh my gosh, they're not going to remember who I am, where I am, what I'm doing. And then all of a sudden someone comes out, goes, hey, Miguel, are you here for blah, blah, blah? And he's like, yes, I am. He's looking around. He's like, okay, follow me. What color do you want? Boom, picked out the color. Walk over here. He's still standing in this spot. And he's like, well, I got to pay in cash. He's like, all right, where the hell's the register? Nothing pops up. Boom, a little shelf comes out of nowhere, and he paid in cash right there. And he's staring. He's like, what? And then now compare that to like, no, seriously, when you go to a big box store and you're waiting in line for
Yeah.
however long and it's disorganized, they have 500 registers and only 3 are working. And it's amazing. And he was always all about, Steve Jobs, going back on that, the efficiency or the experience.
that's your experience. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a whole different
Yeah.
experience, shopping experience than you would experience than when you went to Radio Shack back in the day.
Oh my
Yeah,
goodness.
I mean, you used to have a guy standing behind the counter with 12 different shelves, pointing to something, saying, "Yeah, that looks good. That's the newest one I got." And they really don't know like
What,
specific.
the Magnavox or the Emerson?
Yeah, and I don't want to harp on it, but like when you mentioned experience, I'm sure that person helping him already had the expectation of saying like I'm going to customize this towards your liking.
Yeah.
That's what we're dealing with now. It's like what we realize in our physical visits to stores, and this is where like brick and mortars are kind of getting phased out.
Yep.
They're virtualizing our physical customer experience.
Yeah.
When you go to a
Absolutely.
store, everything's virtualized.
Yeah.
Sign in here. Wait to see your name on a screen.
Yep.
And then when your name highlights, you know you're ready.
yeah.
Yeah.
We were just
You know?
doing some Christmas shopping over the weekend and starting and finishing. And I was like, all right. She's like, oh, I want to go to X, Y, and Z. I'm like, all right, bet. I really wasn't crazy about going to the store. I'm like, I got to use the bathroom. This is perfect. I'm going to dip off over here. You go do your thing. I'll meet you outside of that store or whatever. She's like, all right, cool. So I walk into the bathroom, I come back out, dude. There's a CVS vending machine. So this thing was massive, and it was a little pharmacy and a little vending machine, and you just picked. It was all computerized. You picked exactly what you want. You want Advil, Tylenol, whatever it was, and believe me, they had everything else under the sun, down to gummy bears that you can buy, and it was literally CVS. And it was huge, bigger than like that whole setup there.
That's crazy.
And I just went. I'm like, I just passed a mini pharmacy. I'm in the mall, using the bathroom, and I'm like, what is going on?
Yeah, that's
because I remember going into Macy's a couple years back, and they were the first ones where I seen like that level of like
innovation of technology. Yeah, use, right?
Where you could buy Beats, when the Beats headphones first came out, you could buy them right there in this vending machine. You didn't even talk to actual person. Someone virtually like appeared on their screen and started talking to you or whatever. But I remember I almost bought headphones there because they were the only ones that had something in stock. I remember thinking, I'm like, I can't do this. I don't trust this. Right. There's no way. And here it's like, now it's like normal.
It's normal. Yeah. Yep. If you're not using it, you're being phased out, or you're being really like looked at because you're not being adapted. Kind of goes back to our original concept. Like our parents, the generation prior, was telling us like that technology is going to rot your brain. Don't pay attention to it. Yeah. Same thing with video games, right? Now, some of the highest paid people that I can actually think of, aka Ninja from Adidas, making more money than I could ever imagine. And if he was my son, I'd be proud of him. You know what I'm saying? Right. All because of a video game. But I say that to say it's like, you know, we got to really grasp on. I think our parents were trying to give us the best approach to it. Sure. But they weren't ready to go dive head first.
Yeah, they were still unsure about it, too. They didn't know nothing.
Yeah, and I think we took that first step in our generation with the PlayStations, the Xboxes.
Sure.
We took a console that, it gave us games and entertainment, but now you use PlayStation for everything. You can, you know?
Yeah.
And you really don't need to go out and buy any external parts besides that, you know?
That is your movie player. That's your app player. That's everything like you can do. That used to be your old entertainment system.
Correct. And now even the new one, the Xbox that they announced, it actually has more capability, like power capability, than a computer. It literally is a computer. So, you know, that along with, like you said, the cars that we're driving in today, it all has to fall in sync. And it's like what we invest our time and energy into money-wise, it might fall into like that same pitfall of like, don't buy something that's going to be phased out in the next month.
100%.
You know?
To go back to what I was saying, they're like, oh, you know, technology is now, it's for the new inventions are, you know, creating more laziness out of this. But I think, again, going back to my point where I was saying that that's not always true. Some stuff that comes out, yes, that I would say, this is kind of useless, and I could see that point. But a lot of it's cutting the fat out of specific things. And I'll give you a perfect example of this, where you can now customize, you could for the last several years, customize your entertainment when it came to TV watching, where now you're just buying specific channels that you want to watch or that you are going to watch, or even better yet, do away with cable, and you're just buying these devices that just virtually give you things via the internet and having a connection that way. And you have the press play, press pause, the luxury. You're cutting out the fat of a commercial. You cut out the fat of, dude, you're going to tell me I have to be at home at 8 o'clock to watch this thing if I want to watch it. No. Now we're telling them I'm going to be home when I get home, and I'm going to put it on when I put it on, and you're not going to tell me to pay for a channel that I never even watch.
Yeah. Right.
You know what I mean?
Dude, I just got the new cable now. My remote, you just talking to it. I'm like, I want to watch the Sixers. Boom, it just I don't even have to go on the guide. Just hit the button. I just say Sixers. Dope. It pops up and it just goes straight to it. That's it. So it's even it's going straight directly to everything.
Yeah, I mean, everything's on demand.
Yep.
It really is.
There's really no such thing, except for like sports. There's no such thing as appointment TV much anymore.
Right.
How do you guys feel about like that in that same transition, like the way we do things in terms of like our children? You know what I mean? Like, how does it work in terms of like scheduling? We're scheduling doctor's appointments. You guys like, or doing anything that we have to do. Like, I love this one, sports. So when you have to schedule sports, I have to go to an app to see if there's an update on the activity that my son's doing. They don't have any kind of like, other means of communication, which is okay because as we mentioned, we're cutting out the fat, right? Because it's a little bit simpler process. But it's like, nobody's expecting us to have this like tutorial, and we're not teaching our kids in school how to be technology savvy in the world that we live in.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's almost like, oh, wait till you get home till your parents tell you how to use that.
Sure.
And I think though,
Or
kids,
half the time they
I
know
think-
how to use it already.
Yeah, they're already digesting it so fast
right.
early on
Yeah.
that they're showing us.
Yeah.
I mean, at 5, James was showing me something on the Fire Stick that I didn't even know we even had. I didn't even know you could talk in this thing. You can talk in it.
Yeah.
Same thing like you were saying. I
Yeah.
didn't know it had that ability. I hear James Eagles versus the Cowboys in 2017.
Yeah.
Like he's looking up mad specific things and he gets results and he clicks on it. That's a 5-year-old, right?
Yeah.
And he wants to see, instead of watching the game. Again, this is a
Highlights.
5-year-old. I just want to see the highlights of the
Yeah.
Eagles versus Ravens football game last week, week 7, and he's saying all these specific things. He never saw me do that. He figured that out himself, literally. And these guys know how my son is, and that was all on his own. I didn't do anything with him. Like, holy smokes! Same thing with when we were growing up. Heck, with like messing around with car radios and stuff.
Yeah.
My dad could probably whip something together, but not to what he was doing. Heck, putting like home entertainment
Right.
systems in and stuff. My dad never did any of that. He figured it out.
Or any other type of customization, you know, like
Yeah.
and for that matter, in terms of cars itself. I think about that. You know what I mean? It's just it's just different. We live in a different world today, even for the jobs that they're trying to get. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
We're talking about in conversation. Like, you know, Miguel, you're an amazing barber. You know what I mean? Like, to this day, man, I give you like the respect of like knowing him since I was 16, along with a couple other friends of mine that are barbers too. And y'all have always been the best barbers I know, right?
Yeah.
Shout out to Miguel, Riverside Barbershop. But the other thing about it is like, you know, I was thinking about what conversation I'd have my son, asking him like, hey, you know, when you grow up, what do you want to be? You know what I'm saying? Or if that question gets posed to him, you know, do I tell him to focus on internet coding? Do I tell him to focus on like algorithms?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Because like,
Sure.
I'd love to tell him, yeah, you go out and be a doctor, an attorney, or anybody. You know what I'm saying? Whatever.
that's
you
what- yeah,
Right?
that's what was told to us. Like, yeah, just go be a teacher, or a doctor, or whatever, and then
Scientist.
just figure it out. Yeah.
Yeah.
But like nowadays, it's easier with all this technology to figure out the type of person who you are. So now, like, you can watch, like, if he's playing on his iPad or whatever, you can see where he's, like James is all about sports. Like, if he doesn't become some kind of sports anything, like when he grows up, I'd be surprised because he really pays attention to details in sports. So like now you can kind of find. Like
Their
fine tune
niches.
it, yeah, and
Like
find
that.
their little niches. So when they start asking you questions, be like, I think this is more you.
Yeah.
Like this is where you can go, and it's all through technology that you're following up on. It's like it's crazy. Even like with the barbershop, like I have an app for my barbershop, so you can set up an appointment. I had to like kind of go with the trends.
Go
like
with the
yeah,
flow.
go like that's everything. And this was like 7 years ago, and everything was like, oh, you gotta go on the app. I'm like, why? The heck, I gotta go on an app for it, app this, app that. Now my business have an app, and it's like freaking, it's a lifesaver.
And it schedules. I'm sure it manages your life. And
Oh,
it's
yeah.
just like, and then
It's-
see that separates from you having to have the humanistic time to like say, I need my own time.
Yeah,
You know
yeah,
what I mean?
yeah. So before I was cutting hair, the phone would ring. I would have to stop cutting hair, talk to this person, try to schedule their appointment, which is taking like 5-10 minutes away from me cutting hair. Now I have like 3 people coming, and I'm backed up. The app, just go on the phone, do it. I'm cutting hair, and it just scheduling appointments like on its own all year long.
Yeah. It's almost like we got to be smarter at being strategizing like you are in business here with the podcast. I mean, it's just like we got to cut time in half. And then what does it do for, you know, you did it for, I'm sure you see the revenue
You
opportunity.
just got to take,
know what I'm
take
saying?
advantage of those business.
How many more appointments it books in your day, how much less time you're cutting out having to figure out when somebody else can get their life together to book it. You know what I mean? I was one of those guys. I used to be like, Miguel, really? I have to use this app?
Yeah.
I don't have an app store.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. But going off that, here's the trick with speaking, which I think I'm going to try to incorporate when I'm having those kinds of discussions with my kid, is more of kind of finding your passion. What's your passion, or what do you think you want to do? And then let's find something that you can cater that liking to, because I think that's when you pull out the best from people. And the reason why I say that, instead of saying, oh, you're good at sports, you should be a sports analyst, you should be a kicker for a team, you should be a wide receiver because you're built like one, is because we don't even know what the future holds when it comes to jobs, right? Even for the entertainment value piece, there's some kids who are born into this. This is all they know. Literally, like my cousin who's in the Air Force now, she's only known a life of internet and a life of that we currently have that's only gotten better as she's, seen it unfold before her eyes. But there's kids who are using a platform called YouTube that's been out for years, but they literally have little careers, very big careers, making $27 million a year, and this kid is just unwrapping toys in front of a video camera, and that's a job. You know what I'm saying? So it's like I can't tell my kid, you're going to be a sports anchor. Well, what if he takes off in X, Y, and Z? And I think that's where a lot of things we failed in the past, where we're forcing something, but I think the intention was always good, right? It's like I'm going to tell my kid to be this because I know people are well off who had those jobs. The important thing to understand now is jobs are vast now. Now careers are going to just grow even more. Like us growing up, we didn't know you could be a YouTube star because that was never even existed. That became something in 2006, and even in 2006, people were still sketchy. It was like 4 years later where people start really making that revenue stream of what that entertainment value piece is, and then from there grew a slew of other things. For an entertainment standpoint, we follow people just on Facebook. Literally, all they have is a Facebook account. They're legitimate millionaires just on entertaining in the Spanish community, show video after video, making fun of, in a healthy way, of our culture. And it's funny. And what do? People want to click on it. They want to watch it. Now, growing up, how could have his parents told him be, a Facebook star? You know what I'm saying? It's like that wasn't even a thing. Right. You're a goofball. You're corny. You need to pay attention. Stop going. And meanwhile, if they're now these kids are capturing all these moments and they're becoming X, Y, and Z. Now, the problem with all this, it can go the complete opposite direction where they can get themselves in trouble for a lot of knucklehead stuff that they're doing. So I think that's where the value piece comes in as a parent, watching all this technology kind of take over and is going to, there's a guy by the name of, he's no longer alive, but Terrence McKenna. He has this thing where and look up Terrence McKenna. Everyone listening, homegrown probably knows it. Look up Terrence McKenna. Sure. Okay, he talks a lot about stuff. I mean, he's all into this like crazy hallucinogenics and all this other stuff, but there's some points that he makes where you're just like, whoa. And he talks about and tries to describe that it's going to be man versus machine, and literally we're gonna be fighting something that we created years ago, because it's basically there was something that they had to kill. They had to hit a kill switch on. I forget what it was. It was some piece of technology that basically created its own language within itself, and the coders could not figure out what it was doing. It was there was
some kind of AI or something they created. I forget what company it was, but they made something where it was communicating with another piece of technology that they just started communicating with each other
in its own language.
Its own language that we could not decipher.
Because obviously AI speaks in math essentially, so if it's having high-end math that we can't interpret, or it's just weird coding languages that
binary. It's binary code. Yes. But I say that you guys thought another point I was going to talk about tonight is that right now we're allowing ourselves to be learned now.
Sure. I
just sat there and installed a smart home, like Apple iHome, smart switches, and it's all geo-tracked. And I'm thinking to myself, okay, I got to evolve with the time. My neighbors are doing it. I got to step up. But then in reality, think about it. If my house had a mind of its own, and it wanted to keep me out of it, right? It's locking my doors whenever I have to trust on its reliability to open it on the internet, right? And then that's the other part. Right now, all of our dictation of what we know right and wrong solely relies on just what we look up at the internet.
Sure.
Nobody goes to a library anymore. Nobody goes to a history of natural. We don't look up facts. So we could be just Googling a Wikipedia definition, and I could be telling my kids, Chris Rock was actually the best president of the, you know what I mean? Something far beyond that.
And it became a meme actually with that saying. When my kids grow up, I'm going to tell them this used to be me. And it was some rapper or something. It was they're just having fun with it. But I mean, it's a very scary and dangerous thing when you think about it. I think we just have to be mindful as we go through the process. We are going to be our parents who much so were the skeptics when AOL first came out, where we're going to allow technology, I think, I say the majority of our generation is going to allow technology to take over our lives to a certain extent, where because we were born in the 70s and 80s, right, and where we allowed certain things to happen and we saw life there,
Sure.
right, and then we saw it graduate to this. There's going to be a limit. There will be a limit for us, right? I'm going to say 95% of us. There's going to be that 5% who are in, technology based, or they don't even care. Like, yeah, more of it. I love this. And then it's going to be our kids who's like, my kid's 5, right? All he knows is you're allowed to talk into a remote control that controls everything he says for it to do, and it comes up on that screen.
That's the norm.
Imagine what he's going to accept later on in his future.
Or his kids.
Right, and his kids, right?
Right.
So that's crazy. Like, that's just a wild thought. I think we just have to do our best in being, I think being a healthy skeptic
Sure.
is always good in any relationship, right? Because you have to kind of feel these things out.
Even just in terms of like our education, when we're teaching people, like the kids, when you said like who's going to teach our kids like what right and wrong is in terms of learning the crafts that you have, to not use it for cyber attacks, to not use it for internet blocks or things like that. You know what I mean? And that's the thing.
It's true though too, because there's things out there called malware. There's things called ransomware, which is even creepier and crazier, right? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So it's like,
even companies like large healthcare agencies, hospitals, they go underneath what they call like cyber attacks, where they'll hold medical records as well as devices that hook to the internet. They just had a scenario, I'm not going to mention names for purposes, but they had a person that literally seized all the medical devices in a hospital and basically gave a ransom to say, like, if you don't want these people on these medical devices, not having the ability to, these are critical, like, life or death situations, pay me my money. You know what I mean? And that's literally what it is. So I say to say, for the jobs of the world, future focus, I mean, you can lean your hat probably on, like, cybersecurity. I'm seeing a big stint in that. Even in the company I work for right now, they're actually staffing agents to be almost like the anti-hackers. Yeah. Like, we want to know, if you know how to hack, we want you to come on board so you can teach us what they're doing out there so we can catch it and prevent it. And it's almost safer and less expensive,
Because I think Google not that long ago put out a request or something for advertisement for people.
Hack our system.
Yes. If you can figure it out, we'll pay you like whatever, $2, $3, $4 million to break into it essentially and to correct whatever might be whatever might be faulty with our system so we can make it better, obviously. Because obviously for everything you do positively, there's always somebody out there trying to do maliciously.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So a coworker of mine, his son, went to school and they have everything set up through an online app or whatever it is.
Portal, yeah.
So he goes through the portal. So he goes in and he had to do 100 math problems a day. So this kid is a little genius. He sat at home, he hacked the system, right? So every day he had it set up at a specific time to do the math problems for himself where he wasn't doing anything.
Automated.
So it was automated, right? The kid's 14 years old. He was 12 years old at the time when it happened, right? So his dad gets a phone call and says, you need to come to the school. We got a problem here. We need, your son. He done hacked the system for the portal. He didn't get in trouble. The company came and said, how in the world did your son
How'd you do it?
Hack us? And what is the algorithms that he set up together to make this work on its own? He was getting credit for all of this stuff that he wasn't even doing because he hacked it to do his own problems.
Probably hooking his friends up. Like,
so
I got you.
Another thing, his dad banned him from internet at home. What did he do? He jumped onto his mom's cell phone to grab internet off of that, not through her MiFi hotspot. He was able to get her MAC address and jump onto that and to get internet off for his phone and for his PlayStation.
So that's what parental controls aren't for you; they're for the kids to keep you off.
Yeah, exactly.
That's crazy.
So kid's 15 now, and he's just on his mission to continue to hack and continue to get smarter on this stuff, and he could probably possibly get paid big bucks on this.
Yeah. That's what he told you. That's the stuff he told you. Imagine what he
he's not telling you.
That's what I'm saying. Like, imagine the stuff he
with.
doesn't tell you. Like, in terms of what he really knows,
That's crazy.
It is
and where did you get that time to do that? You know what I mean? Because he's probably been solved those math problems. He's not worried about that.
Yeah. And there's this thing where everyone knows about the quote bots on social media, where we had a guest on and we were talking to him, and the show was over or whatever, and all of a sudden I see him like, from him, all my stuff just kept getting likes and likes and likes and all this other stuff. I'm like, what is going on?
As we're sitting
here talking, and he did not have a cell phone in his hands, and all I could think of was like, oh, he probably has someone working his social media account or whatever. Well, this kid was at home, whatever, a year prior to that, and set up an algorithm for all his social media. He basically decrypted a bot to see how it worked and created one for himself for his social media platforms.
Because he said it was like, if you were to request him as a friend, right? So as long as you guys had like 3 or 4 mutual friends, then it would just automatically accept it,
and then start liking your pictures.
Start liking like your pictures, like.
Really?
Or if you
because of the similarities, because of how you know.
Yeah, that's how he did it.
Wow.
He was young.
That's crazy.
That's just, I mean, like, that's brilliant stuff. Wait a minute. No, like, where did you go, and what night did you wake up in the middle of the night and go to the Neo Matrix and figure out how to type in, you know what I mean, how to get 1 million likes?
Yeah, because to program that, you have to understand how that works to begin with. So you know how to, you already have an understanding of all that, what that means, and just, you can auto set that.
But with sneakers, right? I'm a big sneakerhead. There's people that live off of income, just regular income off of flipping sneakers, all solely because they create a program that backdoors a company's website and can snipe off pairs at a time.
Exactly, and that even happens with investing. When you're investing nowadays, now they call it black box investing, and basically it's capturing a price, a specific stock, capturing you could set it to when it hits this price sell, when it hits this price buy, and it's at speeds where now it's technically illegal for a company to use certain things like this, but there's individuals who created their own programs that it's investing for you, and it's flipping your money, and it's basically earning itself as it's. Because back in the day, you had to make a phone call. I'm like, all right, give me 10,000 shares of, X, Y, and Z. Then it went to the internet, and how fast your internet speed is. Hence the reason why. Why do you think that there's so many, companies, investment firms that are around major cities? Mm-hmm. It's because they literally have the fastest internet.
The infrastructure for it.
Yeah, the infrastructure for it, and it's because it's basically if you can get. In investing in anything, it's a slight edge. How do you win? That was a slight edge. If I move to Manhattan at a specific, loft, I'm going to get a faster thing, and I'm going to be operating out of there, and I'm going to outbid you on certain.
Any slighter like nanosecond of a speed difference
it all means something.
So then, who makes that up? What guy is sitting behind a blueprint saying, you know what, we're going to give like New York and Philadelphia more internet access than say Newark, Delaware.
So it goes off population, right?
Okay.
So if they just go to cities, they're so populated. They figured initially, in my assumption is, you're going to make the most bang for your buck, and most businesses are like that in a flooded city. Yeah. So they start developing those first with internet, developing with technologies, because now instead of you go to Yardley where there's for a quarter mile, there might be 2-3 houses. I'm not exaggerating, right? But you go a quarter mile in New York City, you probably you have thousands, maybe tens of thousands of people who are all paying separate bills. Who are you going to try your technology out on? You know what I'm saying?
Or even the companies thinking like West Coast, like Silicon Valley and like San Francisco and stuff like that, who are hyper technology focused. Of course, they're going to get those. They develop there first, and then they slowly spread out to obviously the bigger cities from there, because they need to test all that stuff to make sure it works and make sure it's going to fail proof. Get the people paying for it and get the people actually testing it out and seeing how. Make sure
someone coding and being, that is their thing, figuring things out.
Where do you go to school to I know they advertise that now, like for coding, but like nobody was sitting there like as a marketing professor, right? Yeah. Imagine you go to an average marketing professor today, ask them like, hey, where did you go to if you had to go learn coding right now? You know what I mean?
Right.
Guarantee you they're going to sit there and say, well, I have to do some research and give you an educated answer on that.
Or when I was going to school, there was no way in hell that the boat, either of those were even associated.
You weren't going to learn that.
Right. It was like, that had nothing to do with marketing. What are you talking about? Meanwhile, that is the only thing you use for marketing, basically, now.
Because now it's not about Jimmy likes, polo sweaters and Levi's jeans. It's the fact that Jimmy visits Levi's, Polo, and also like any other brand website that's on his page that he kind of searches with the internet. And I'm going to develop an algorithm to throw marketing advertisements to him.
Cater to just Jimmy.
Yeah, and then listen to him while he's talk, too. Well, I mean, like, from the microphone, from the phone.
But you would have to go in some kind of STEM program to even get into like anywhere technology focused. Now that's embedded into everything.
Yeah.
the way we pay for things, right? You said, from sitting in a barbershop for 5 hours waiting in line to just setting up your appointment, waiting a whole 2 minutes while the barber goes and grabs a drink at the corner store, and that's all you had to wait. I'll do that. In fact, I'll buy you your drink. You know what I mean? If that's all I got to wait, thinking about back in the day, then you go back, then you fast forward to, applications, how we digest schooling. Now you could literally have your kids homeschool in a different way, not just like your grandmom or your wife is out there teaching them. We're talking about literally they can learn from the laptop off the specific programs and digest the information.
Actual teachers, not you figuring out for yourself and trying to teach your child.
Even like Ava, she's in 7th grade. She has a Chromebook that she takes to school. Everything she does at school, she's pretty much paperless. Everything's like on the Chromebook.
Yeah.
So she can bring it home, and her homework comes on there. There's actually like a tab where it links to like it's like the parents page. So if a kid's stuck, you click onto this page, and it'll help. It'll like kind of tell you how to.
Guide.
Yeah, it'll tell you how to do this problem and help her and how to explain it to her in a different way. Like, and it shows like their homework, their grade, their like everything off of this tablet. Like,
and a Chromebook is little, right?
Yeah.
Right. And how much does a Chromebook cost? And if it costs for a school, $200 for us. Yeah. When you're talking about contracts, that's $100. Sure. That's maybe like, 70 bucks for them when they purchase it. Yeah. Think about this: when we're going to school, remember those thick science books that we had to carry around? Yeah. And they were $200. If you looked up the price, they're like $200 something bucks each textbook. You go to college, everyone knows. Well, when I went to school, anatomy and physiology, $279. Just crushing us with books, and then when you sold it back, they'll give you a whole $14 for it,
and no health insurance to help you on your back because you're carrying all them books.
Absolutely, you know what I mean? And then they'll get you for all that. And it was just like, meanwhile, they're having these little tablets that they're just walking around with. All the information's there. It's viewable to everybody,
and then all the teachers taught.
No. Yeah, it's just like that. Then there's like the social group, like that the parents, so you know what your kid learned that day, what homework they have. Yeah. Dude, there's no report card, physical report card. Your report card's emailed to you. Like it's in this thing.
It's crazy. And they use Chrome a lot for the stuff, like they have for the Word documents, Excel, and all that stuff. The one time, my oldest, she said she did a report, so we're believing her. Meanwhile, the teacher went in the back end, saw the last time she touched the report, and it was like 2 days ago. She said, no, I handed it in, or I did this, and that today. And they're like, there's no log of you actually entering anything in. The teacher got it logged, and they can go in and see that, so that they can
justify their accountability.
You're not doing it. It's a log. It's saying you're not doing it. Right there, it's proof. So so
I mean, with schooling too. I mean, there's the good things about it is. We had to stay up like all morning, or we would wake up early back in my day. Speaking about back in my day, to see if the school was closed, or you had to have a hookup in the school who worked there, who then you get the phone call, who called your aunt, who then called your mom, and by the time we got it, we knew before the neighbors still.
Yeah, he was good.
Right? Meanwhile, school was like right there, like we didn't walk that far, but now, I mean, you got a text message, you got an email, you got a phone call, all at 5 o'clock in the morning. So before it happened, most people are up, I would say. Probably before at least 75, 80% people are up on the East Coast or whatever it is. Mm-hmm. You're already notified as to what's going on, so they allow you to plan your day. Where before, it's like you had to wait for that little screen to come through at the bottom of the
ticker on the bottom with the
little ticker.
If you passed it, you have to wait a whole 10 minutes for it to pop back around.
I used to wait to just see if there was any cars driving by. Like, don't like nobody coming here for like 5-10 minutes. So it looks like we're probably not having school today. Just take a guess. I hope
a car judgment call.
Right? Dude, that's too funny.
That's great.
But yeah, like paying for stuff, same thing.
Yeah.
Even transactions now, like if you go out on a date with somebody, or just hanging out with a couple of friends, and you forget to bring cash, and everyone's paying in cash, and you're at a restaurant. I mean, it happens to us literally every time somebody goes out. Somebody forgets their cash to bring it. It's like, even though that's what you're doing, it never fails. But then you just all right, thanks for spotting me. Here's a $20 via Venmo or PayPal or one of these, the Cash App, one of these applications. And it's right there. It's like, that was never the case. It was like the IOU, and you're swole at that person for 2 days until they got you that cash. You're like, or no, you spotting me next time, and all of a sudden you want to go out the next day.
It's the total opposite now. It's like, oh, bro, like we're done. Hey, man, can you get that money? I was buy myself breakfast.
Well, here's the other thing. You could call them bluffs too. Like, I'll buy that. Oh, you got Venmo? Yeah. All right, send it to me now.
Real rap.
Right on the spot.
perfect example.
Exactly,
When I met Jimmy, ran into him, I was like, "Yo, let me grab this shirt because I don't know if y'all have this yet, but it's going to be available at your local pop-up shop. That Blessed Life full-length gray sweatshirt. I mean, great long length surf. It's very comfortable. But I saw it come right off the cooker, basically.
Yeah, absolutely.
Finished. I was like, "Yo, Jimmy, I need that." I weigh one anyway, right?
Yeah.
And he's like, "All right, bet." So as soon as he gave me the shirt, I was like, "Give me your Venmo."
Yep.
That doesn't happen, and nowadays it's like, "Oh, I don't got cash." Oh, all right. Well, how are we gonna take care of this? Can I go to Mac Machine? So it does. Like,
hope you come back with it.
Yeah.
But I'll see you in a week.
But then those people that take advantage of it, are much more inclined in terms of like, maybe that's how you're winning in life. You know what I'm saying? Like, and I say that to the business owners of the world, like, get ahead of your job. Meaning, learn the technology you need to make the money you need to make, and don't let the technology use you. You know what I'm saying? Because if you don't know how to get an instant transaction done, if you're in business, then the latter is you don't need to be in business.
You don't need to be.
Back in the day, when you have to wire money, it was like you go to Western
Union
and wait for it.
Western
Can I hit you with a transaction number and see if this works?
See if the money came
I think
through?
this one works. Episode 177, please.
Yeah, but that's like the kids at lunch.
Yeah.
My kids, they go to school, and I have to check their accounts. I go online, go to the app, I look at it. Oh, she got money, she's good.
She's good.
And I keep track, and then it tells me, this one bought lunch and chips, or this one bought lunch, chips, Snapple, ice cream, water. I'm like, what the heck is going on?
Tracks what they buy too. So if they tell you, I ate lunch, I'm like, no,
buy
you
your
ate
lunch
junk.
and buy your snack.
So now I'm gonna remove that allowance and then start packing again.
And the thing is, I don't tell them how much they have. I was like, you got enough for today's lunch.
Yeah.
So that's all they need
there's
to
no
know.
excuses. They can't even say
and
anything
basically, they shouldn't spend no more than $3 for the day. And when I saw the extra, I was like, slow it down.
Yeah.
This money's gonna go real quick. So it's like every week, every other week, I have to put money into it so that they have it in there. But it's like, it's crazy because you just transfer the money.
Mm-hmm.
They go in, they give their ID number, and the money gets deducted off their account. And it's like, there's no money. There's no money. It's just
Dude, back in the day, you could possibly, maybe, depending on where you worked, who you worked for. Now, if you worked at the mall, I'm sure there's a lot you can do. But just speaking of the holiday season, going Christmas shopping, right? Where you can go to about 15 stores in 15 minutes on your phone on your lunch break, right? And I just bought literally 5 gifts in probably 12 minutes. Mind you, I knew what I was going to get. It was just a matter of just making it happen. Boom, click, put everything in a shopping cart, hit send. I was done. It's going to be in my house in 2 days. Mind you, this is a while ago, but it's going to be in my house in 2 days. And I still have 15 minutes to go eat lunch, grab a slice of pizza, came back, and went about my day of working.
Yeah.
I mean, think about that.
Even the pay to pick up.
I didn't even use gas.
Yeah. Have you ever tried the pay to pick up thing for Target recently?
Yeah.
Literally
Just
drive up.
I just saw that.
Mind blowing.
Yeah.
I was like, no way.
My wife uses that.
For me, children, when you have kids, you don't want to have to go through, no, we're not going to the toy aisle today. It's, guess what? We're pulling right up.
You don't have to go into the store anymore.
Yeah.
Even a grocery store. Right. They come to your house and deliver the food to you.
We did that
That's
too.
what I mean. Yeah.
We did that too.
They come, they tell you specific time, or we'll be at your house in such time, and next thing you know, bags getting dropped off.
Well, no, because for us, it was this. My wife was pregnant, and she broke a rib. So she was obviously not that mobile. And then to go shopping was bad. You can't send me because that's the reason why she goes shopping is because she's very conscious and makes really good decisions on what we're going to eat, for dinner Monday through Friday. Where me, I'm only thinking about Friday, and I only want Doritos, Twinkies, and just like random stuff. No one's eating like anything good. Yeah, he said frosted flakes. It's like Fruity Pebbles.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
And that's all we're getting. So it's just I'm just not good at that. Could I be? Of course. But she's like, let's just try this. It's a technology that we can use to our advantage. Yeah. You're gonna be lost anyway. And I'm like, okay, fine. Let's try it. I mean, of course, I'm a grown man. Yes, I can go. Give me, let's put a list together and I can go what we need, right? But she's like, well, let's just try it. It's new, and it worked. So for like a month, we used. I think it was Giant. I forget who it was, but they literally even bring it into your house. Yeah. They'll put it on top of your table if you want them to. They went shopping for us. I mean, you could tip them however much you want, whatever it is. It's almost like ordering out food.
And have the food right, the order right too. I'm sure, right? In terms of
and then they go through everything. They go through the list. You got this. You got this. Boom, boom, boom. And we did it.
That's crazy.
It served its purpose.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
I was catering to her at the house. She didn't have to get up. I'm doing whatever she needed, and there's groceries just got delivered to her house. We went grocery shopping.
Yeah.
Right.
She probably
she did it right on her phone.
She picked and choose what y'all were going to eat, too.
Yeah, absolutely. So. And actually, it was actually more well-planned. Because again, once you physically go to a store, you are distracted. Oh, yeah, and naturally, they're built to sell you on more stuff. Sure. Yep. The way they're designed is they're gonna have bread on this aisle and bread on and milk on the complete opposite because they want you to go through the entire store on your way out, right? Mm-hmm. And so, but when you do it online, you're just like, I need milk, I need peanut butter, I need lunch meat, I need whatever pizza, and you're just boom, 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 boom. You just load up your list, and it's a predetermined price. So now you know what you're gonna spend. So if you're budgeting, all right, we got $250 to spend on this grocery haul, but when you go there, you're sweating bullets. Like, oh my god, it's at $247. Oh my god, we still got bananas to go.
They got an extra side salad.
Like, we're over budget. Well, I hope these coupons work.
Yeah,
and it's.
You got any extra ones?
Seriously, and it's like you're sitting there sweating bullets. But isn't that funny?
That's right.
Where now you put everything in the shopping cart. All right, we're gonna need about 200. All right, we're gonna have to wait a couple more days, see if I can sell a couple more shirts. No, I'm only kidding. But no, seriously, like you can make that funny decision. Now, where before you gotta wait there and like, no, go put that back. Go put that back.
The Apple HomePod I bought. All right, Apple sells it for $299.99, right? Same idea he just talked about. Look online. I literally typed in that word, Apple HomePod. Best Buy caught it for $50 cheaper. Man, I walked in there and did the pay and pickup like I was the man. I was like, don't know if y'all know this, but this is $50 cheaper than Apple because all I did was Google. You know what I'm saying? And it's like not to say this like, the internet solves your problems, but like the power of what it could do for you in your life, saving money. I mean, dude, I live on a budget and I need to make sure that like every penny and dime I get, I stretch. But it also can potentially open up doors that, could potentially, make it help you keep money or earn more money too.
Absolutely. Like in all honesty, even to the point the way we meet people and date, the way the dating game is played, thank God I'm far removed from any of that, but still it's like it's interesting because they have all these different ways of doing it, which again I think it cuts out a lot of fat for some things, right? I don't know if it works for everyone, but it's definitely working for somebody. You know what I mean? I actually know I have friends of mine who literally met on an app and are married and have kids. Today, right now. And are happily married. So I mean, so it works. It just it's just
another avenue.
Not one method's going to work for everybody. You know what I mean? But it's very interesting. So technology has affected every way of life, from giving birth all the way to dating, whatever.
Yeah, intimacy with your partner. Like if you don't FaceTime me today, what's wrong? Now that's like, okay, I didn't see your face today. Yeah. I'm going to my job so I can make sure we pay these light bills, all right? And the phone stays on. So, that's just my thoughts.
Absolutely. All right, so we like to end our shows in quotes, and the first one is by Elbert Hubbard. One machine can do the work of 50 ordinary men. No machine can do the work of one extraordinary man. The second one by Bill Gates. Technology is just a tool. In terms of getting the kids working together and motivating them, the teacher is the most important. Back in my day, in this episode, we have special guest Ray Tynes. We cover topics that range from technology, the new generation, future careers, reminisce about the past, and much more. We wrap the episode up with quotes from Elbert Hubbard and Bill Gates. Awesome. Guys, thanks again for joining us. The Rotated Views podcast was produced for self-development purposes. Huge shout out to our sponsors. This episode is brought to you by the Blessed Lifestyle brand. That is BL3SSED.com. Also sponsored by The Motivation Files Unleashed. This motivational mixtape will be your fuel for success. Available on all platforms. Guys, don't forget to visit the website, JimmyleeVelez.com. Follow us on Facebook and Instagram at Rotated Views. If you have any inquiries or questions, email us at info@JimmyleeVelez.com. On behalf of myself and the rest of the crew, we wish you massive success. Stay blessed.